London, 1558, the prehistoric roar of a rising empire. Hold your breath. For a single agonizingly long moment, let your eyelids flutter shut and surrender to the absolute vacuum of the void. Command your hearing to become your only compass, your sole navigator through the winding, lightless corridors of ancestral time. Before your mind's eye can even begin to stitch together a single silhouette, you will feel them before you hear them. The bells. From the distant, fog-strangled spires of 100 parish churches, the iron tongues of London begin their savage, discordant cacophony. This is no melodic chime intended to soothe the weary soul. It is a dull, melancholic, and rhythmic thrumming, a sonic tide that ripples like a physical weight across the grey, shivering surface of the River Thames. It is the sound of a city screaming in labour, a metal-on-metal herald of a world about to be reborn in fire and ice. The cold here is not a mere seasonal chill that nips at the skin. It is a bone-deep, marrow-piercing frost that seems to emanate from the very bowels of the earth. It feels as if the ancient soil of England is recoiling from the crushing weight of its own blood-soaked history. This is the kind of unnatural ice that arrives only when an entire civilization is convulsing in the agonizing labor pains of a new, terrifying, and uncertain era. Today is the 17th of November, in the year of our Lord, 1558. The air you breathe is not merely gas. It is a thick, suffocating tapestry woven from the freezing river mist and the acrid, lingering stench of wood smoke from the Smithfield pyres. Those fires have not yet fully cooled. They still carry the molecular ghost of human flesh, the remains of those deemed heretics, consumed by a flame that sought to purify the soul by obliterating the body. Queen Mary I, the woman haunted by a fanatical, desperate piety, and the bloody purges that earned her the terrifying epithet, Bloody Mary, has just drawn her final, rattling breath. She died in the dim, claustrophobic light of St. James's Palace, surrounded by the hollow echoes of a failed legacy. The Catholic dream she tried to burn into the very marrow of the nation has flickered out with her heartbeat, leaving behind a kingdom scorched, traumatized, and dangerously perched on the razor's edge of total collapse. The thick, cloying incense of the High Mass is being choked out by the rising fog of doubt and the whispered, frantic prayers of the persecuted. Miles away, at the Manor of Hatfield, a 25-year-old woman named Elizabeth stands at the jagged precipice of a throne that looks more like a scaffold. Once branded a heretical waif, the forgotten daughter of a fallen and decapitated mother, she is now the single pivot upon which the entire world turns. She stands beneath the skeletal branches of an ancient oak tree, perhaps feeling the first tremors of a crown that will either immortalize her as a virgin queen or consume her in the fires of an inevitable civil war. The weight of the world is shifting, moving from the cold, stiff hands of a dying woman of the past to a girl who embodies a dangerous, shimmering, and unpredictable future. London, meanwhile, behaves like a gargantuan, prehistoric beast holding its breath in the primordial mud. Its massive chest heaves in a state of volatile, suspended animation, caught in the suffocating space between a fever dream of hope and the paralyzing tremor of absolute terror. Will the transition be a peaceful dawn or a crimson bath of sectarian violence? This city is no pastoral idyll. It is no quaint, colourful tapestry of Tudor charm or merry old England as depicted in sanitized Victorian storybooks. It is a ticking time bomb, a sprawling entity crystallized from boundless ambition, primal fear, and a survival instinct so ruthless it borders on the predatory. In this version of London, a single misstep, a careless whisper caught by the wrong ear in a crowded, ale-soaked tavern, or even a glance that lingers too long in a market square, can cost you your head. Yet, it is precisely from this chaotic slurry of freezing mud, spilled blood, and urban putrefaction that the greatest global empire in human history will be conceived. Do you have the fortitude, the sheer mental stomach, to imagine yourself suspended at the very epicenter of this historical earthquake? Let us glide together across the churning, opaque waters of the Thames, a river that serves as both the city's lifeblood and its primary open sewer. We shall pierce through the fog which hangs thick and heavy as a silken burial shroud to step back into the London of the Tudors. This is a place where every weathered limestone block and every rot-softened oak beam hides the soul of a modern metropolis in gestation. But before we descend further into this perilous, winding labyrinth, I want you to ask yourself a question. How did a city of rotting timber, a place so foul it turned the stomach of every foreign traveller, and so savage it displayed the heads of its enemies on spikes as macabre ornaments, transform itself into the forge that would reshape the face of the entire globe? Imagine yourself hovering high above the river, your gaze sweeping over a jagged, chaotic matrix of timber-framed houses. They lean precariously over narrow streets, their upper stories jutting out like heavy, glowering brows, as if the buildings themselves are exhausted by the weight of the sky and ready to collapse into the muck below. In the distance, stone towers pierce the charcoal sky like obsidian spears. And there, looming with a terrifying, ancient majesty, is the tower, a fortress carved from the very nightmares of the peasantry. Welcome to Tudor London. At this precise moment, the population hovers around 100,000 souls. It feels impossibly crowded, yet the city is swelling at a breakneck, painful pace, much like a rebellious adolescent body, bursting at its seams and riddled with the sores of rapid growth. This is a realm where the decadent, diamond-encrusted silks of the nobility coexist in a bizarre, dissonant harmony with the wretched, skeletal poverty of the masses gasping for air in the shadows of the alleyways. It is a world where iron-clad religious dogma collides violently with the most serpentine of political intrigues. Here, a whispered prayer can be the prologue to a death warrant, and a change in the Queen's mood can bankrupt a dynasty. London in 1558 is not a unified whole. It is a violent patchwork quilt, stitched together by clashing lives, disparate powers, and a desperate, gnawing hunger for gold. To the east lies the city, the fortified heart of finance and commerce. This is a walled bastion where merchants with eyes as sharp as razors and minds like ledger books quietly dictate the flow of global currency from within their cramped, high-piled counting houses. They care little for the prayers of priests. They care for the weight of English wool, the purity of Spanish silver, and the distant, aromatic promise of spices from lands not yet found on any map. Their god is the gold coin, and their cathedral is the wharf. Conversely, to the west, separated from the stench of the markets and the cacophony of the rabble by the sprawling Strand, sits Westminster, the political brain, the neural centre of the entire nation. Step with me into the echoing expanse of Westminster Hall. Do not look down at the dirt-stained floorboards. Look up. Above you hangs the greatest hammer-beam roof in Northern Europe, a masterpiece of medieval engineering that still stands today as a testament to human ego and ingenuity. Those colossal oak beams arc into the darkness like the fossilized ribs of an ancient leviathan, cradling the space in a silent wooden embrace that feels both holy and haunted. This hall is never truly silent. It vibrates with the frequency of extreme, life-altering tension. These cold stone walls have been the silent witnesses to the most magnificent tragedies of the Tudor dynasty. It was here that Sir Thomas More stood in the dock, using his brilliant silence and razor-edged logic to defend his faith with his very life. It was here that the law was used as a surgical scalpel to excise those who did not fit the royal mold. Treason trials are the local theatre here, the primary form of entertainment for the elite, where the destiny of a nation is often decided by the hushed, venomous murmurs of men hiding behind heavy velvet curtains. If you were an aristocrat in 1558, Westminster was a sophisticated meat grinder. A single slip of the tongue here wouldn't just end your career. It would invite the total annihilation of your lineage and the seizure of every scrap of land your family ever owned. And Elizabeth, the young queen with hair like flickering embers and a heart of tempered steel, is about to walk straight into the heart of this brutal machinery. She does not come as a victim, but as the master of the game, ready to outmaneuver every grey-bearded man in the room who thinks a woman's mind is a frail and flighty thing. But if Westminster is the office of the state, where does the monarch truly live? We need only travel a short distance along the river to reach the Palace of Whitehall. To call it a palace is an exercise in profound understatement. Sprawling across 23 acres of prime riverfront, It is a gargantuan hive of power, a labyrinth of red brick, gilded timber, and Renaissance gardens manicured with mathematical precision to prove that the Tudors could even tame nature itself. Whitehall was the largest palace in Europe, boasting over 1,500 rooms. Yet, behind the opulent facade and the heavy, cloying scent of expensive perfumes, two worlds existed in total isolation. Crossing the threshold, the contrast hits you like a physical blow. The outer layers are the stages for public ritual, the Great Hall, and the presence chambers. These are architectural weapons designed to intimidate foreign powers. Gold-threaded tapestries depicting biblical epics line the walls, and massive fireplaces roar with a heat so intense it battles the freezing drafts, whistling through the leaded glass. The floors are perpetually strewn with fresh rushes mixed with aromatic herbs like lavender and thyme, a desperate, futile attempt to mask the underlying scent of the unwashed thousands who move through the palace daily. Every detail is calculated to overwhelm foreign ambassadors and reduce the nobility to a state of shivering, submissive awe. However, if you are cunning or lucky enough to pass the grim-faced guards and enter the privy chambers, the world shrinks and the temperature rises. The air grows warmer, the rooms smaller, and the atmosphere thick with the scent of secrecy and hot wax. Here, in these candlelit retreats, the truly world-altering edicts, the radical shifts in national religion, the secret warrants for the arrest of dukes are signed with a frantic flick of a goose quill. And at the very edge of this royal splendor, you find the primal appetites of the elite. Henry VIII, Elizabeth's father, was a man of such voracious, unchecked tastes that he built indoor tennis courts alongside arenas for blood sports. Imagine lords in velvet doublets, their faces flushed with wine and adrenaline, screaming for the blood of a captive bear being torn apart by mastiffs, just a few yards away from where delicate, world-shaping diplomatic treaties are being negotiated. This is the essence of Tudor power, the highest Renaissance sophistication, entwined with the most savage, prehistoric human instincts. Leaving the glamour of Whitehall behind, let us walk the Strand, a picturesque stretch where the ultra-wealthy have erected their mini-palaces. Notice that every single one of these mansions turns its back to the street, opening its grand, gilded facade toward the Thames. Why? Because in 1558, if you possessed wealth and status, you would never dream of walking or riding a carriage through the streets. The roads were quagmires of filth, choked with human sewage, rotting animal carcasses, and horse dung. Instead, you would board your private barge, rowed by liveried watermen. The Thames was the VIP highway, the ultimate symbol of status and luxury, the only way to travel without ruining your silk shoes in the mire. Now, let us strip away the polished corridors and silk gowns. We must cross the river to the south bank, to the district of Southwark. If the City of London is a somber, pious, and repressed patriarch, then Southwark is the 16th century Las Vegas, a place where every moral compass is intentionally broken and discarded. Existing beyond the jurisdictional reach of the city fathers and the prying eyes of the law, Southwark is a sanctuary for sin, pleasure, and raw, carnal release. Imagine you are a penniless apprentice with a few groats in your pocket on a rare afternoon of freedom. The moment you step off the boat, the noise hits you like a physical fist. The air is thick with the scent of fermenting cheap ale, charred meat, and the unmistakable heavy musk of thousands of bodies desperate to forget their harsh realities. The legendary Globe Theatre of Shakespeare has not yet been built, but the city's hunger for spectacle is already at a fever pitch. The crowds flock to the Bear Gardens' circular wooden arenas, where a massive, blinded bear is chained to a central stake to fight off a pack of snarling, hungry dogs. The agonizing roars of the beast mingle with the frantic, high-pitched betting of the crowd to create a symphony of carnage. To the Tudors, this wasn't animal cruelty, it was prime-time entertainment, the only place where they felt a fleeting sense of dominion over the brutal cycle of life and death. Here, you might see a common cutpurse rubbing shoulders with a wealthy merchant, or a discharged soldier drinking from a leathern blackjack next to a nobleman in disguise. Surrounding these arenas are a forest of taverns and brothels. The women working here are known as Winchester geese because they ply their trade on land owned by the Bishop of Winchester, a biting, dark historical irony. Southwark is the essential pressure valve for a London compressed by a skyrocketing population and the suffocating holy laws of the church. But when you stand on the south bank and look back across the water, a stone giant dominates your vision, dwarfing everything else. This is Old Street, Paul's Cathedral, a true Gothic monster, looming over the skyline with an almost predatory authority. This cathedral lacks the elegant white dome we see today. Instead, it features a central spire that soars nearly 500 feet into the air, making it one of the tallest structures in the known world. But if you expect a sanctuary of silent, holy prayer, you are in for a profound shock. Step through the massive oak doors into the nave, a space known to every Londoner as Paul's Walk. You will find yourself in the middle of the busiest, loudest indoor market in the country. Lawyers lean against stone pillars to meet their clients. Merchants haggle over the price of wool or eastern spices right next to the high altar. Pickpockets weave like ghosts through the throngs of the faithful, and fishmongers use the cathedral as a shortcut to get their stinking catch across town before the gates close. It is a house of God that has been occupied by the money changers once more. Yet, do not let the mercantile chaos deceive you. In 1558, religion is a matter of life and death, the razor-thin line between eternal salvation and the torture dungeon. Outside stands Paul's Cross, an open-air pulpit that serves as the most powerful mass media tool of the age. For 20 years, the people of London have been spun like tops in a socio-religious cyclone, from Catholicism to a hybrid Protestantism under Henry VIII, to radical reform under Edward VI, back to a radical, searing Catholicism under Mary, and now, under Elizabeth, they prepare to swing back again. The populace is exhausted, cynical, and utterly terrified. To dissent from the monarch's chosen faith is not merely a spiritual error, it is high treason. A single careless sentence denying the Queen's supremacy over the church can lead you straight to the gallows at Tyburn or the stake at Smithfield. The smell of burning flesh is a memory that clings to the nostrils of every Londoner. To maintain order in this massive pressure cooker called London, the Crown relies on a symbol of unshakable dread, the Tower of London. By 1558, it has ceased to be a royal residence of choice. It is now a fortress, a gargantuan armory, and the most feared prison on the face of the earth. Look at Traitors Gate from the river as the tide rises. Imagine the cold, paralyzing horror of sitting in a small boat, drifting slowly under that dark, dripping watergate. The sound of the river lapping against the stone walls echoes like a heartbeat in a tomb, followed by the heavy, metallic clatter of the portcullis dropping behind you. That is the sound of the world ending. For many queens, including Anne Boleyn, Elizabeth's own mother, many high-ranking nobles, and many idealistic dreamers, this was the final stop before the executioner's blade on the damp grass of Tower Green. Guarding this fortress are the yeoman warders. Do not mistake them for the jolly tour guides of modern postcards. In 1558, they are the lethal instruments of the state, the most elite warriors of the realm. Picture a soldier clad in a thick buff coat over steel, clutching a razor-sharp halberd, his gaze as cold as the North Sea. Their presence is a relentless reminder that the Tudor dynasty is always prepared to use extreme, calculated violence to crush even the smallest ember of rebellion. So, how does this combustible timber metropolis function from day to day? Follow an ordinary merchant home. You likely live in a jettying house where the upper floors extend out over the street to steal every inch of precious airspace, saving on the exorbitant cost of land. These houses lean toward each other so steeply that on the top floors, neighbors can practically shake hands or share a candle across the street. This turns the alleys below into dark, damp, and suffocating tunnels where sunlight is a rare luxury. The first thing you feel when you step outside is the mud. But this is not the clean mud of the countryside. It is a revolting slurry of human waste emptied from windows, offal from slaughterhouses, and rotting vegetables, all congealing into a sluggish, stinking river in the open gutters that eventually hemorrhages its filth into the Thames. The Thames is everything to London. It is the source of drinking water, the primary highway, and a gargantuan, never-ending sewer. To get water for your home, you must wait for the cobs. Water sellers carrying massive wooden tankards on their shoulders or jostle, and fight in the long lines at the public conduits. And if you wish to cross the river quickly without a boat, you head for London Bridge, the greatest engineering marvel of the age. It is not merely a bridge, it is a hanging city suspended over the water, with buildings rising 6 stories high, housing luxury shops, a chapel, and bustling residences. The river below rushes through the narrow stone arches with such ferocity that it creates terrifying whirlpools and the roar of a cataract. Steering a boat through it was called shooting the bridge, a lethal gamble that only the most skilled waterman ever dared. And at the southern gateway of the bridge, a gruesome spectacle greets every traveller. Dozens of heads of traitors, boiled in tar to preserve their features against the rain and the birds, impaled on high wooden pikes. Their hollow eyes stare down at the passing crowds, a silent, eyeless warning about the cost of disobedience. This is London in 1558, brutal, foul-smelling, and dangerous to your last breath, yet vibrating with a life force so fierce and an ambition so unquenchable, it defies description. Why does this filthy, flammable city of wood play such a pivotal role in the gears of history? Because within that cramped, chaotic, and violent space, London is quietly inventing the future of humanity. It is the manic capitalistic energy of the city, the ruthless haggling over wool and spice in the shadows of St. Paul's, that is laying the foundation for the global financial hub we see today. The Royal Exchange is about to be born, a place where the world's currencies will be shaped and moved by the invisible hand of trade. The scandalous district of Southwark is the womb for a nascent creative industry, providing the spiritual soil for a young man named William Shakespeare to eventually arrive from a rural backwater and proceed to dismantle and rebuild the English language. The people of this time had no steel, no urban planning, and certainly no sanitation. But they possessed an unstoppable, jagged momentum. Tudor London teaches us a profound lesson. A great megacity is not built solely of stone and mortar. It is forged from the hunger to escape poverty and the infinite human capacity to adapt to extreme adversity. They found a way to cram 100,000 ambitious, desperate, and instinctive souls into a narrow space and make it function like a miraculous, albeit bloody, machine. From my perspective, as one who hunts for the hidden, pulsing soul of history, London in 1558 is not a closed chapter in a dusty book. It is a living, breathing reminder of human resilience. Imagine those people, trembling between the ghost of the Black Death and the fire of religious purges, yet never ceasing to dream of a better tomorrow or of new lands lying far beyond the grey horizon. They lacked high technology. They had only a resilient heart and a will of iron. Everything we inherit in this modern age, from the towering glass monoliths of the world's most powerful financial hubs to the neon-drenched streets of our theatre districts, carries within its pulse a strand of DNA forged in the blood-soaked, soot-stained mire of old London. It is a legacy of grit and glory. Those bustling centres of commerce and culture were not built on luck, but on the ashes of catastrophe. It remains the ultimate masterclass in human alchemy, the art of transmuting the most brutal adversities into a granite foundation for enduring greatness. The very streets we walk upon today are paved with the resilience of those who saw a wasteland and envisioned an empire. History is never truly dead. It is not a collection of dusty relics or forgotten names. Instead, it is a living, breathing force that quietly reinforces the ground beneath our feet, guiding our strides toward the future. It is the invisible scaffolding of our lives, supporting every innovation and every dream we dare to chase today. Do not look away from these chronicles of the past. To understand where we are going, we must first recognize the shadows from which we emerged. Stay close, for the next secret we are about to uncover is far more staggering. A revelation that will challenge everything you thought you knew about the world we have built.